Hello, my name is Bridget, and I decided that I wanted to do a series on grief, and I would like to start off with denial. January the 28th, unfortunately, my eldest child died from an asthma attack, and needless to say, it's not been an easy road, and dealing with grief is I can't even express. It's the best way to describe it. It's been like a roller coaster ride. One minute I'm up, the next minute I'm down. It's been overwhelming at times. But after taking the time to read about it and actually go through some counseling, it's helped me to deal with things in an emotional way. My emotions were so out of control. I truly thought that I was ready for a mental institution. I was overwhelmed because I didn't understand. I just couldn't process what I was going through. And after really understanding and reading about the different stages of grief, it helped me to put things in perspective. I still have my moments, but knowing things from an intellectual point of view, it helps me to make better sense and it's not as frightening because I was very afraid of, I just losing my child. Um, I'm trying not to cry, but it it did not feel natural. I mean, as a parent, you don't expect to outlive your child. You don't expect to bury your child. You don't expect to see your child in a coffin. It's surreal. I remember telling my mom that it would have, we should have been having a wedding. We should have been buying him a car. It's not an easy journey, but I would like to the goal of this is to help other parents, grandparents, even siblings, because it's such a difficult journey, but with some understanding, it's hard, but you can do it. Today I would like to talk about denial. Coming home from work, I just had a bad feeling um, about my son because I tried to contact him earlier that day with no response. And when I got home, I will never forget there was an ambulance and a fire truck and police outside, and I ran to the door, and it was surreal and it was very traumatizing. I mean, there are no other words to describe it. I tried to take it all in, and I remember falling to my knees. I was so shocked, but I can tell you that I feel very fortunate in many ways because I had good people around me that day who made it so much easier. My neighbors and my really good friends, the pastor from my church. As soon as he heard, he came over, and there's a gentleman that lives in my neighborhood that's a pastor. He came over, and I will never forget. He talked to me in such a calming way, and he held my hand, and that was such a big help. But the thing that stays with me is I'm sitting down and I felt very cold. I will never forget, I felt very cold. And I remember the police officer coming to me for a statement, and he kept referring to my son as a deceased. And I remember thinking, why is he calling him the deceased? He's Demetrius. Um, this is not making sense. And what stays with me is, usually when I would get home from work, the first thing I would do is take a shower, take off my scrubs. I couldn't wait to take my scrubs off as soon as I would get home. But that day, I didn't take a shower. I didn't take off my scrubs. I actually slept downstairs on the sofa and I kept my scrubs on because I felt that if I don't take a shower and if I don't take off my scrubs, some way, somehow I would be starting the day all over in those scrubs. You see how you think logically, when you're going through that, something like that. But I truly thought that I would get to do it over, and somehow I would wake up and it was a bad dream, and he would still be here, and you know. But then I woke up that morning and I realized he has passed away. But I felt okay, we'll try it again. And every night that I went to bed, and it was so hard to sleep, I barely slept during that time. It's like my brain was trying to go back to January the 27th, trying to erase everything that happened on the 28th. And I would wake up every morning with that disappointment because, it wasn't a bad dream, it was reality. Um, Facing the day of the funeral was extremely difficult. I'm a woman of faith. Um, I will tell you that if it wasn't for my faith, I don't know how I would have made it through this difficult time. I had to do a lot of praying, and I asked God to give me the strength to make it through the funeral. And, going to the funeral and going through that whole process, even after that, it's like my brain just did not want to accept what was happening and the denial, like, this does not happen to me. This cannot be happening to me, Bridget. No way. Things like this don't happen to me. Happens to other people. And then it really sank in that it's not about race, class, status, education. This happens to all people. We all experience good things, we all experience bad things. And all the money in the world will not replace my son. Um, Wishing and hoping is not going to bring him back. Every now and then, I find myself still like it's a roller coaster. Like one day I'm rational, the next day I find where I'm a little on the irrational side because I still that denial. I don't like this is not happening. Nah, if I don't think about it, it's not happening. But then I find out that it really is happening. Um, I miss him so much every day. I didn't realize it was possible to miss a person so much. You may see a smile on my face, but if you could see and hear, you would understand how I feel. But I would just like to encourage those of you who are new to this journey. I would like to encourage you and let you know that it does get better. You always miss your loved one, and you will always feel that ache in your heart. But allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to feel the pain, because if you try to pretend it's not happening, it only makes things worse. It's a very painful journey. It's not an easy thing to go through. I've never questioned God. I've never blamed God because I understand it's just life. I will always love my son and I'll always carry him with me. But I would, like I said before, I would just like to encourage others, to go through where this is not happening, the shock of it, especially when it's fresh. And even after, like for me, it's been, I think, almost 8 months. You will still go through days where you want to deny that this is happening. But as I said, it gets better. I hope that this video has been helpful to you. I plan to do more. And in fact, When I'm finished with the 5 stages of grief, I do want to share a video that I made a few days after my son passed away, so that you can see the difference in the levels of grief. Like I said, everyone goes through this process differently, and no one has the right to tell you how to deal with this. But I would like to say, if you are having a hard time dealing with it, talk to your pastor, talk to a counselor, reach out to someone. You do not have to go through this journey alone. It's very frightening. It does things to your mind. It's overwhelming. But like I said, it does get better. As I said before, my name is Bridget, and I will be releasing some more videos soon. Take care and God bless.